Hi, we're going to now do Melachim Beis, Perek Tet, and a little bit of Perek Yud. And just to summarize the Perek with a little word cloud, you'll see some of the main people and characters and ideas in the Perek. We're going to focus a lot on Yehu. He is going to be the king, well really the general who's a rebel who becomes king. He is going to be killing off the house of Achav. Achab was the wicked king who you've learned about from previous videos. He will be specifically killing off Yehoram, who is Achab's son. And some of the themes, other people in the Perek is Izebel, Achab's wicked wife, who is still alive, who you'll see what will happen to her in this Perek. There'll be Achaziah, who is Yehoram's brother-in-law, who's the king of Yehuda. And finally, some of the main themes is the word Hashalom, is their peace, which will appear multiple times in the Perek. So let's get started. So Perek Tet starts as follows. Elisha hanavi kara lechad mibnei neviim. Elisha the prophet called out to one of the sons of the prophets. So Elisha, who is the main Navi, is calling to somebody else who seems to be a student Navi. V'yomer lo chagur matnecha v'kak pach hashemen hazeh biyadecha v'lech ramot galad. Gird yourself, which means get ready here, and take this pach hashemen. Pach hashemen means a jug of oil, and go to Ramot Galad. Now this is a picture of the jug of oil, actually. They found in archaeology. And these were special jugs of oil that were used to anoint kings. Both the Malchei Yehuda, who are always anointed by jugs of oil, and at times the Malchei Yisrael as well. Yehu is going to be from the Malchei Yisrael, because he's going to kill off the house of Achav, who were the kings of the kingdom of Israel. Uvata shama rei sham Yehu ben Shil Shafat. So Elisha says to this Navi, the student prophet, go there and you'll find someone named Yehu. Yehu is going to be our main character. Uvata vakimota mitok achav vaveta oto cheder becheder. Take him into a room within a room. In other words, you should do this in secret. V'lakakta pach hashemen. We see the jug again. V'yasakta arosho, and anoint his head. V'amarta, and say, Ko amar Hashem. Thus says Hashem, Meshaktika lemelech el Yisrael. We see the word Meshaktika, to anoint. You may recognize that word. The word Mashiach comes from it. Mashiach literally means the anointed one. Anoint, by the way, means to pour oil on someone's head. So you're going to anoint him, Yehu, to be the king of Israel. Ubatakta delet v'nasta v'lo techaken. And then he says, very interestingly, this is the secret mission. You're going to secretly pour oil on Yehu to anoint him as the king of Israel. When you're done, just open the door and run away. Because you're going to be a marked man, because you're anointing a new king of Israel when there's still a king of Israel around. And now we see that was the command. Here's how the command is carried out. V'yelecha nara navi. And the nar, the young, relatively young lad, who is the lad prophet, goes Ramot Galad to Ramot Galad. He seems to be, Nar Navi seemed to indicate that he was maybe one of Elisha's people, Mishamashim, people who serviced Elisha. He was like, Elisha was his mentor, and he was like an apprentice prophet. Vayavo, and he went. V'inei sareach hayo yoshvim, vayomer daber li elecha hasar. They were in Ramot Galad, and all the generals were standing around. Yehu was one of the generals in Ramot Galad. They were fighting battles, skirmishes against the Syrians on the border, while the king was somewhere else. The king was actually in Yisrael, because he had been sick and he was getting better. And so he goes to all the generals, Yehu amongst them. He says, I have something to speak to the Sar, the leader. Vayomer Yehu, Omi mikulanu. And Yehu says, which one of us? So you see already, Yehu does not automatically identify himself as the leader. He's amongst other leaders. Vayomer lecha hasar. And the Navi says to him, no, I want the leader, the commander. And Yehu, you are the commander. So I have something to tell you. We don't yet know what. Vayakam vayavo abaita. Vayotzok hashemen el rosho. And he takes him into the house. And when he gets into this house, so now he's in secret, it's only Yehu and the Nar Navi, the young prophet, and he pours oil on his head. We see the jug of oil over here. Vayomer lo ko amar Hashem Elokei Yisrael. I'm speaking at the Navi. Thus says Hashem, Mishachticha lemelech el am Hashem el Yisrael. So we see a repetition of the command being carried out. I am anointing you. I am making you the Mashiach. Mashiach just means anointed one. I am pouring oil for you to be the king of the nation of God, which is Yisrael. V'yikita, and here's your job. You're going to have a very important job. Your job is going to be to kill a lot of people, because you are going to fulfill the prophecy that we learned about against the house of Achav. V'yikita et beit Achav adonecha. You are going to kill, smite the house of Achav, your master. V'nikamta ti Limei Avadaya Nevi'im, you will avenge the blood of the prophets. We know how many prophets Achav and specifically Yezel killed. You will avenge them. Udimei Kol Abdei Hashem Miyad Yezel. All the people Yezel killed, you are going to avenge. You will kill off every male descendant of Achav. And you will avenge Yezel as well. So obviously that involves something against Yezel too. Va'avad Kol Beit Achav, and you will destroy your house of Achav. V'yikrati la'achav mashtim b'kir. You'll kill off all the male descendants. It's actually a very crude reference to male descendants of Achav. V'atzor v'azu b'Yisrael, they'll be gone from Yisrael. V'natati et beit Achav ki beit Yeravam ben Nevat. You learned about Yeravam as well. The house of Achav will be like the house of Yeravam. Yeravam's house was destroyed because he sinned. Achav's house is going to be destroyed because he sinned. Ukibeit Basha ben Achia, Basha's house was also destroyed. So all the previous dynasties of Yisrael were destroyed. So Achav's dynasty will be destroyed because of the sins of Achav. V'tizevel yochlu kalavim relates Izevel. B'chelek Yisrael, Izevel will have a very special punishment because she was a uniquely evil, wicked woman. The dogs will literally eat her up in the portion of Yisrael. Ve'ein kover, there'll be nothing left to bury. Ve'yitaka delat vayonos. And then the prophet opened the door and he ran. So the question becomes, what's Yehu going to do with this very strange prophecy? V'Yehu yatsa el avdei Adonav vayomer lo hashalom. So Yehu goes outside. Remember, Yehu was amongst his generals. So Yehu goes outside to his other generals, who were really below him, but they were generals as well. Vayomer lo hashalom. And they tell him, is there peace? Madua ba mushuga haza elecha. Why did this meshugana, this crazy man, this insane person, come to you? We're going to see this phrase Meshuggah is going to play a large role. But the first one who's called the Meshuggah is the prophet who had anointed Yehu. You know that guy in his words. In other words, yeah, he was the Meshuggah. Now don't think about anything he said. Yehu is trying to hide what the Navi has told him. He's a modest person. He doesn't really necessarily want to reveal this prophecy that he is going to be the king. Vayomru, Sheker, you lie. In other words, there was something important the prophet said. Hagedna lanu, tell us. So they bother Yehu. They say, we want to know what this Meshuggah prophet told you, what this crazy, lunatic, insane prophet told you. So tell us. Vayomer kazot v'kazot amar elai lemor. So Yehu finally relents. He says, this is what he told me. Kol amar Hashem mishaticha lemelech el Yisrael. God has said that you, Yehu, are anointed as king. So what's going to happen? How are the generals going to react to this rebellion? Because there's already a king of Yisrael, but he's now saying that Yehu is being anointed the king. Vayimaharu, vayiklu ish bigdo, v'yasimu taktav. And they ran, they listened. Everyone took their garment and they put it underneath el garam ma'alot, by the stairs. Vayitku b'shofar, they blew the shofar. Vayomer malach Yehu. So everyone said, long live King Yehu. Yehu is the king. So obviously Yehu was a very accepted leader. They immediately accepted him as the king. V'yit kasher Yehu ben Yoshavat ben Yishi el Yoram. So now Yehu is going to make a kasher. A kasher means a conspiracy, like to tie a knot. So Yehu now, he might be anointed king, but he's fighting in Ramot Galad, and the king is in one of his capitals, well, really one of his vacation homes, in Yisrael, the king Yoram, so they have to do something about Yoram. So Yehu makes a conspiracy. Yoram haya shomer b'Ramot Galad, hu v'kol Yisrael, mipnei Chazael melech Aram. Yoram had been in Ramot Galad. Vayashav Yoram hamelech litrapei b'Yisrael, but Yoram got injured, and he went back to Yisrael, the valley of Jezreel we learned about before from the story of Keren Navot. That's where Yoram went but you prepare to get better, like the word, like a rofei is a doctor. So Yoram had gotten injured in battle, and he was now injured in convalescence, they would say, in Israel. Mina makim asher yaku Aramim, because the Syrians, the Aramim, had given him many injuries. Bilachamo et Chazael melech Aram, when he was fighting the war with Chazael. So Yehoram, had been injured, and he now returned to his home in Israel from his injuries. And now Yehu has a whole army in Ramot Gilad, so we'll see what Yehu's going to do to get from Ramot Gilad to Israel. So the first thing Yehu says is, in order to have a conspiracy, you need complete silence until you reveal the plot. So Yehu gives an order, no one's allowed to leave Ramot Gilad to go to Israel. Because if someone leaves, they're going to tell Yehoram what? That Yehu is making a rebellion, then Yehoram can react. It has to be total surprise. So Yehu now goes on his chariot to Israel. Ki Yoram shochev shama. Yoram was lying down there. Remember, Yoram was injured. And luckily also for the story, Yehu is going to have double duty. Not only can he attack Yoram, the king of Israel, but Achazia, who's also from the house of Achav, because his mother was descended from Izevo and Achav. Achazia, the king of Yehuda, also is in Israel. So we have two different kings. The king of Israel, Yoram, who's injured, and the king of Yehuda, Achazia, who's visiting, who's being Bikur Cholim, all in Israel. And Yehu is coming, and nobody knows, except for the people in Ramot Gilad, the real reason Yehu is coming, which is to make a rebellion. So you have the watchman who's standing on the tower by Israel. Every city has shomrim. Vayar et shifat Yehu b'vo'o. He saw the Yehu coming, and Yehu is coming with a whole entourage behind him. Vayomer shifat ani ro'eh. I see this entourage. Vayomer Yoram kak rachav ushlach l'kratam. Vayomer hashalom. So no one knows. They don't know yet who's coming, but they see this guy in the chariot. They see a whole army behind him. So Yoram says to the guy on the tower, the shomer, take a chariot and go and say, "Are you coming in peace?" See the word "Are you in peace" again. In other words, are you in peace? You're coming to us here. You're trying to make an attack. Are you trying to just come? They don't know yet, even if they're Jewish or they're from Syria. They certainly don't know why they're coming. So the guy gets up on his horse to greet Yehu and his army. And he said, "Thus said the king, do you come in peace, Yehu?" And Yehu answers in a very cagey way. He doesn't want to reveal his real reason for coming yet. Yehu, what are you talking about peace? Why did you talk about peace? What's with you with peace? Was that an answer? No, not at all. Sova acharai. Go back. And obviously when Yehu says go back, he has a whole army behind him. So he told the guy on the horse nothing, and he forces the guy on the horse to retreat. And so now another watchman's watching, and he says that the guy has come, the messenger, and he hasn't returned. In other words, sorry, he said Tova Achar, he says follow me. So basically the messenger now is forced to follow with Yehu's army. And the guy now is looking from the tower, the next guy, and he still doesn't know what Yehu's intention is. So they send a second one. A second guy on a horse, he comes to Yehu. He says, "Thus said the king, do you come in peace?" Why are you talking about peace? Follow me. I have come and they haven't returned. But now we start to recognize him. But I know that this guy is like Yehu because he drives like a shigaon. Shigaon is the same word as mishuga. He's a mishugada. So now we see there are two people who are being called insane. One of them was the prophet who had anointed Yehu, but the second one who's called insane is Yehu himself. We still don't know what the reason for the conspiracy is. We'll continue that in the next video.